CFP expansion debate. Why 12 teams might be enough for college football playoff. College football's playoff expansion debate is racing ahead recklessly, and this high-stakes gamble could undermine the entire system. Remember when former Ohio State President Gordon G. famously declared in 2007 that playoff advocates would need to pry postseason changes from my cold, dead hands? Well, here's the twist. While college football eventually adopted a playoff, G remains vibrantly alive at 81. What did meet its demise, however, was the sport's stubborn resistance to playoff growth. Before last season's inaugural 12-team playoff even kicked off, power brokers were already plotting a leap to 16 teams, a jaw-dropping pivot for a tradition-bound sport suddenly moving at warp speed. But here's where it gets controversial. The SEC and Big Ten now clash bitterly over expansion mechanics. The SEC champions a 16-team model with automatic bids for 5 conference champions plus a group of 6 representative, filling remaining spots at large. The Big Ten retaliates with their radical 4-4-2-2-1-3 blueprint, 4 automatic bids each for Big Ten and SEC, 2 apiece for ACC, Big 12, 1 group of 6 slot, and 3 at-large spots. They are playing hardball too. The Big Ten demands the SEC increase conference games from 8 to 9 before supporting any proposal. This standoff might actually save the sport from itself, with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey admitting the current 12-team format could continue if negotiations collapse. But here's where it gets truly contentious. The Big Ten's vision includes play-in games during championship weekend, where third-place teams battle sixth-place finishers for bids. Picture this: last season, 8-5 Iowa would have been playoff-bound under this model. This approach could create a de facto 26-team playoff structure. And this is the part most people miss. Such expansion risks devaluing regular season games while potentially welcoming mediocre teams into the postseason. Plus, let's examine the evidence. Last year's first-round playoff games averaged a 19.3-point margin of victory. Would adding 4 more games improve competitiveness, or just dilute the product? While conference realignment, nil deals, and transfer portals reshape college football, let's confront the elephant in the room. We are charging toward 16 teams with zero evidence that 12 teams are insufficient. Remember the selection committee backlash over SMU of Indiana versus Alabama. Expansion would likely welcome more teams with multiple losses like Alabama's 6-6 conquerors. Are we prioritizing inclusivity over excellence? And this is the billion-dollar question nobody's asking. What if the current 12-team format, now improved by eliminating last year's top 4 conference champs only rule, is actually the sweet spot? The November 30th deadline looms, but here's an uncomfortable truth. We are making transformative decisions based on speculation rather than data. Wouldn't it be smarter to let the refined 12-team model play out for 2 to 3 seasons before overhauling the system? After all, isn't thoughtful evaluation better than permanent expansion regret? Where do you stand? Is playoff expansion essential progress or dangerous overreach? Sound off in the comments. This decision affects every college football fan. Big Ten vs SEC, the future of college football playoff explained. The stakes are high in the ongoing battle for the future of the college football playoff, CFP, and it's clear that the game is rigged in favor of a select few. Everyone can agree on this point. As the Big Ten Conference prepares for its annual football media days in the vibrant city of Las Vegas, it's time for Tony Petitti, the Big Ten Commissioner, to step into the spotlight and engage in some crucial discussions. On Tuesday, Petitti will face a barrage of questions from the media, covering a wide range of topics. These include the current state of athletes' revenue sharing, which is caught in a legislative quagmire, and his recent correspondence advocating for leniency from the NCAA regarding Michigan's sign-stealing controversy. Despite having a strong hand that should lead to victory, the situation remains tense, as the leading players, the Big Ten and the SEC, continue to negotiate how to divide the spoils. The current CFP format is under scrutiny, especially with the anticipated expansion to a 16-team playoff. While the Big 12 and ACC also have a stake in the matter, a memorandum of understanding signed by 9 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame last year indicates that this is primarily a showdown between Petiti and his more seasoned counterpart from the SEC, Greg Sankey. Both commissioners may downplay the competitive nature of their relationship, but that's simply a strategic move in the world of sports. As Sankey stated at the SEC Media Days, when you're given authority, you want to be responsible using that authority. It's not just about showing up and demanding change. However, he also acknowledged that we don't need unanimity to move forward. What they truly need now is a compromise. Given the multitude of issues at hand, finding a solution that satisfies all parties should not be overly complicated. The Big Ten has been advocating for a 16-team playoff structure that would grant 12 automatic bids to the 4 power conferences, with additional spots for the so-called Group of 6 and 3 at-large invitations. However, this proposal has been met with resistance, as it appears to favor the Big Ten and SEC disproportionately, effectively marginalizing the ACC and Big 12. Critics argue that this arrangement would essentially seal the fate of these conferences, suggesting they would be relegated to a status that undervalues their contributions. In response, the ACC and Big 12 have proposed a more balanced 16-team model known as the 5+11 format. This plan would allocate automatic bids to the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, similar to the existing 12-team structure, while the remaining 11 spots would be open for at-large selections. Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, emphasized the need for fairness in college football, stating, "We have the responsibility to do what's right for college football, not just for 1 or 2 conferences. I believe the 5-11 model is equitable. If we are going to expand, let's do it in a way that is fair and gives everyone a chance to compete." However, there's a possibility that this issue may remain unresolved. Sankey has reminded everyone that a 12-team playoff is already set to commence in 2025, with changes expected this winter to eliminate the restriction that only conference champions can secure the top 4 seeds. This adjustment aims to prevent scenarios like last season, where Boise State and Arizona State received first-round byes despite their lower rankings. Some argue that it might be wise to allow the new system to operate for a few years before making further changes. Yet, in the world of college sports, financial incentives often drive decisions. The prospect of 2 additional playoff games could significantly increase revenue, making it likely that the Big Ten will eventually align with some version of the 5+11 proposal. The SEC appears to be on board with this idea, provided it includes modifications to the selection committee's approach, particularly concerning strength of schedule evaluations. For the Big Ten to agree, it may require a significant concession from the SEC and ACC, such as adopting a 9-game conference schedule to match the Big Ten's current format. This could be a challenging sell for SEC coaches and athletic directors, but it may not be insurmountable, especially if it comes with a non-conference scheduling agreement that enhances media rights deals for both leagues. The Big Ten is riding high after clinching back-to-back CFP championships, and this new era of college football suggests that the wealthiest league will only continue to grow stronger. However, the SEC has a storied history, having won 6 of the last 8 national titles. Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer remarked, "I still believe the SEC is the strongest conference from top to bottom, despite his team's surprising defeat to a depleted Michigan squad in the ReliaQuest Bowl last December." As the SEC, which finished 2-3 in the playoffs last winter, prepares for a challenging regular season, key matchups are on the horizon. Texas will face Ohio State on Labor Day weekend, Michigan will visit Oklahoma on September 6th, and Wisconsin will travel to Alabama on September 13th. However, the true test will come in December and January, which is why the playoffs are so crucial. They determine both the financial rewards and the champions. The recent television rights deal ESPN secured will provide the CFP and participating conferences with $1.3 billion annually through 2031. Yet, there are even greater financial opportunities on the horizon. With a November 30th deadline approaching for a decision on the playoffs' future, the pressure is mounting for a resolution. You want to have a good hand to play, right? Sankey remarked. I believe we have the best hand.